Hey sportsmen, John Bergsman here from Johnson's Great Outdoors in Montague, Michigan. We got 6 awesome reports for you today. We're going to cover things from all the way from Lorain to Port Clinton, the Lake Erie waters, the Ohio waters of Lake Erie. Then we're going to jump up to Tawas, Michigan. They just had a big MWC event there out of our gray, and a lot of the guys were fishing north out of Saginaw Bay in that greater Tawas area. Then we're going to jump over the bridge and we're going to talk about Drummond Island. We've got a good, consistent bite of walleyes going on there right now. We're going to talk to John Goebel. Then we're going to jump over to Marquette. I spent a day in Marquette County last week, had an awesome time bass fishing. We're going to check in with Mike Cozier from Marquette Adventures. He's been doing some awesome lake fishing as well, inland lake fishing there in Marquette County. Then we're going to talk about a couple of big question items that I keep getting asked about, so we're going to deal with them. We're going to talk about inland lake presentations, just general presentations for inland lake walleye. Then we're going to also talk about inland stream fishing and small river fishing for smallmouth bass. This is going hot and heavy. We're getting reports from all over the state about exceptional smallie fishing in the midsummer here on the smaller rivers. These 6 reports coming to you today from Johnson's Great Outdoors in Montague. Stay tuned. So first report of the day, we're going to talk about the hot bite that's been the hot bite all year long, and that is Lake Erie. Today we're going to concentrate on the Ohio waters. We're going to talk about Port Clinton to Lorain, Ohio. Now, Captain Gary Zart from Blue Dolphin Walleye charters right out of Lorain, Ohio. He has been into the fish all year long, and he's got some really specific presentations to help you guys get started. Now, the first one is that Gary fishes with braid and dipsies. So understand that right away. And he is a master at it. So the sets that he's been catching fish on are a number 3 set on the bigger size dipsy, a number 3 set, 75 to 100 back, a number 2 set, 65 to 85 back, a number 1 set, 50 to 60 back. Now he's chugging along at 2.2 to 2.5. He's also running out on his outside boards. He's running out a spread of bandits. Now those bandits, he's going to run 2 on each side, and he's going to run them out between 100 and 150. So basically 4 bandits run out are going to be 100, 110, 120, 140, 150. You get the idea. He's staying in that between 100 and 150 range. That seems to be catching a lot of fish. Gary's also been running a lot of the new Spro, the big Spro crankbait. He says that's been catching a lot of fish for him as well. So when we jump over to Port Clinton, Captain Kelly from Irregardless Sport Fishing has been doing really good on a consistent group of fish that's been about 4 to 5 miles east of Kelly Island. Now, he's been fishing those with Dreamweaver's the Dreamweaver worm burners, and he's been pulling those behind his dipsies. You can also pull those behind tadpoles. And what that is that's a worm burner is a mini spoon with a harness attachment on the back. So he's tipping it with meat. Kelly tells us that the meat has been a big deal over there in the Port Clinton area this year. And it seems like the guys who are using meat are catching more fish. We're also hearing reports out in front of Cedar Point, Sandusky, Cedar Point area, in the shallower water, in that 20 to 30 foot of water. A lot of perch fishermen are showing up there, and they're having to sort for sure. It's not all big fish, but they are starting to get some good, consistent perch fishing action out in front of the Cedar Point Recreation Park. So if you're looking for something fun to do in the next week or 2 and you're planning a trip, that area from the Port Clinton region all the way to Lorain is chock full of fish. If you go to our website, fishermansdigest.com, and log in, you can click on the Lorain tab there under fishing reports and get a very specific spot. Gary even gives you his north and west lines for the general area where he's putting his boat to find those better fish each day. So, hey, check us out at fishermansdigest.com in the fishing reports tab.
WavePro high-performance boat pedestals eliminate bottoming out and back-jarring impacts. Now available the 2.0 version and slider seat hubs. The best in air shock technology provides a controlled return to keep you on your seat. Fast and easy to install with permanent mounts or movable hubs for quick and easy seat placement in 10 to 16-inch models. WavePro high-performance boat pedestals, best ride on the water. Online at waveproshock.com.
So the MWC tournament MWT, I should say, tournament just went out of our Gray, Michigan. And I heard a lot of reports from guys that were turning the corner north out of Saginaw Bay and running up that Tawas to Oscoda shoreline and doing their fishing there. And I heard some reports that a lot of the better weights came actually outside of the bay on that stretch of shoreline. Now, I'm sure we had some people going run all the way up probably to, Alpena. It seems like somebody always does that in these tournaments. But I'll tell you what, Captain Gene Curvin from Calypso Sport Fishing Charters tells me that there's some really good, consistent action. Now, a lot of guys have gone there and not necessarily done too well. So you have to be locked into the program for sure. So these are the options you got. If it looks like for walleyes, guys are catching them on 3 to 5 colors of lead. So that's going to be about 15 to 25 down. And they're running a combination of either spoons or flicker minnow number 11s, things like that. Just a moderate size bait, not the great big bandits. Now, if you're looking for mixed bag on that same stretch of shoreline between, let's say 100 to 130 in overall depth, you're catching a mixed bag, Gene tells us, of steelhead. And the steelhead seem to be down about 45 to 65, catching those mostly on dipsies and mini spoons. So again, the mini spoon pops up. This seems to be a theme here for the last month. Mini spoons are catching a lot of fish. If you're looking for Lakers, he's catching those deeper at that 85-foot mark off of his downriggers. Now again, we're over 100 to 130 in that overall depth range. And there's a pretty good strong break there on that Tawas slide, basically, that it's starting to flatten out at about 100 and gives you a pretty good area that you control 100 to 130 and back, and you're just going in and out and working your baits. And there's also been a good splattering of Atlantics and even an occasional pink salmon coming on Gene's catches. So he tells me that the fishing is truly a mixed bag there right now out of Tawas. So if you're looking for an awesome charter and you don't know that area and want to learn something, give Captain Gene from Calypso a call. He can show you that ropes and that presentation that he does on his charter boat. You can implement it on your own boat. If you're looking for great information, just again, go to our website. Gene's got a very specific, detailed for all of his sets for his dipsies and his downriggers to help you lock in on what species you're looking for. But the fishing out of Tawas is starting to go. And once it starts, other than a massive northeast wind, that should continue all the way to the end of August.
Make loading and unloading your boat easy with the Dorado Catch and Release Automatic Boat Latch. Load with ease. Simply drive on the trailer and the Dorado will automatically latch to your bow eye. A hard plastic liner protects your boat. For launching, back your boat in, pull the release lever, and away you go. For roller or bunk trailers, the Dorado is quick and easy to install and works with most V-hull boats. Spend less time at the landing and more time fishing. The Dorado Catch and Release Automatic Boat Latch. Online at DoradoProducts.com.
So our next stop has been a spot that we've been talking about all year long, Drummond Island, and Captain John Goebel from Customized Sport Fishing has been all over the fish all year. And what's going right now is what everybody's been waiting for, and that's a good, consistent, larger walleye bite in that detour pass north to Muskong Bay area. Now, Captain John's been catching those fish on a combination of crankbaits and spinners on rock or gravel bars. Now, as an experienced St. Mary's River fisherman, I've been on it many, many times. I can tell you from Muskong is basically filled with these shallower humps that you can fish. And as you get downriver towards the detour passage, you'll get those same gravel spots that are a little bit deeper. And I think that's where John's concentrating most of his efforts. But I'll tell you what, as you see from the pictures going across the screen, John is getting into some really good fish. I've seen some really nice limits on his personal Facebook page, and it's worth your time to learn this bite. And this is a bite that happens every year. Now, you got resident fish that live around the whole waters around the Drummond Island area, as well as fish that live up in the St. Mary's River. And it seems like in the summertime, we get a big migration of those larger fish to that lower Muskogee to Detour Passage area. And that's where it seems like the big fish bite occurs. And this happens every July and August. And to be honest, we filmed shows there as late as October with the snow flying and had very good success. We're going to slide up there in August and fish with John, and we'll show you that on our new television show, Destination Outdoors, that you should be tuning in on one of your local network stations. But give John a call if you want to get up there and learn the ropes on the lower St. Mary's River.
CampandCruise is Michigan's premier heavy gauge aluminum boat dealer, featuring the Kingfisher line of Great Lakes and multi-species boats. Kingfisher's 2025 Flex tackles the biggest waters, while our 1825 Warrior and Falcon models are perfect for the inland lake or the trolling enthusiast. For the full line of Kingfisher models and the best price in the Midwest, visit us online at CampandCruise.com.
So my personal report for this week comes from Marquette County, and we've actually chatted again with Mike Cozier from Marquette Adventures, and he tells me and confirms that what I found on Shag Lake when I went fishing for bass last week is happening all over Marquette County. We've got a really good mixed bag bite of walleye, bass, bluegills, and crappie going on lots of different, I'm going to mention a few lakes, but lots of different lakes. So Greenwood Reservoir is going really good. The Dead River Storage Basin has been kicking out tons of nice bass, as well as mixed bag bite. Smaller lakes like bass and shag have been kicking out, and there is dozens of those smaller lakes. Those are around Gwinn, but there's dozens throughout the entire Marquette County. Basically, Mike tells me if you've got a good 50-acre plus lake in Marquette County, it is at full bore right now. One of the things that's cool about Marquette County lakes is they don't seem to be overpressured. We went in there and fished on what, to me, is a very nice and popular lake. And we only encountered one other fisherman on the lake. And that was on a Friday, and it was 75 degrees and sunny. So, it's just not heavily pressured. And if you move around Marquette, if you base yourself somewhere in Marquette, whether it's Gwinn or the Marquette proper or Ishpeming, you're going to be able to move around and find tons of lakes. Now, there's also a good bite that's been going on over on Michigamme Reservoir for smallmouth bass and walleye as well. But I'm telling you what, the shoreline trolling, Mike tells me, up off of Marquette for lake trout has been fantastic. When the weather allows, Standard Rock has been kicking out nice limits of fish. We were there about 3 weeks ago. So if you're looking to get out and do something unique, Mike's guide service, Marquette Adventures, can hook you up with local guides to get you out on lakes, or you can do an eco tour with Mike, which is going to be a shoreline fishing excursion. He's got lots of smaller lakes where you can do shoreline fishing. He's also got lots of river opportunities and stream opportunities to catch native trout or pike. Lots of different things going on there in Marquette County right now. So again, get on our website, read Mike's report, or otherwise jump on Marquette Adventures and look at what he offers, and or the Marquette Tourism Association, the tourism office, is also going to have a list of all the guides that are available there out of Marquette Harbor, and you're sure to hook up with one of those guides that'll get you out on the lake having a great time. But when you're banging through Marquette County, don't forget, this specific county is geographically one of the largest in the state of Michigan. It's also one of the best fishing spots anywhere in the state of Michigan.
The all-new Yamaha Wolverine X2. Purpose-built for exploring tight technical terrain. And boasting next-level versatility. No other side-by-side delivers this level of proven off-road performance. The all-new Wolverine X2 from Yamaha.
Come on into Babbitt's. We're open for fun.
So now we got a question and answer, a couple of segments here that aren't going to be specific to a location. We can get you close, but we're going to talk about concept fishing. I get a ton of people asking me, John, how do you catch inland lake walleye in the summertime? And so we're going to try to answer that. And this applies to lakes like Cadillac, Mitchell, Missaukee, Houghton, Hamlin Lake, even Burt, Mullet, Black. All of those types of lakes are going to be subject to this type of presentation. So behind me, you see a big rack of Berkeley flicker shads. This is one of my primary bait styles. And over here, we've got the flicker minnows. The minnow here, and again, Berkeley doesn't sponsor me. I'm just talking about what works. You either have the smaller minnow style bait, not the great big bandit size, this smaller, the 9 and 11 minnow style bait, or the number 4 to 7 shad style bait. Those are a key to catching inland lake walleye. Now, there's two different ways you can do it. I use both. That is a crankbait methodology where you're running transition edges. And when I say transition edges, what that means is where something changes dramatically. You might have a hard bottom slide of sand and gravel that transitions to a soft bottom center basin area of the lake. A lot of the lakes in Michigan have this transition edge, and wherever that edge occurs, you're going to have fish working that edge. The reason is because the softer bottom is going to, it's going to be the home to things like leeches and mayfly larvae and all kinds of different stuff that comes out of the bottom of the lake, angleworms, lots of different stuff that those fish feed on happen right there at that hard, soft transition edge. Another great example of a transition edge is when you get on a lake that has a defined weed line or defined weed beds, and then clean water around those weed lines or weed beds, meaning no weeds at all. So you'll have a wall set of weeds on a break edge, and then it goes away and you have clean water. That's a transition edge. And on those transition edges is where I concentrate most of my efforts. Now, if I don't have a lot of floating submergence, and that's really the key to know whether to use crankbaits or whether to use spinner harnesses. If I have pretty clean water, not a lot of boat traffic churning up the edges of the weeds and knocking the tops off and causing them to just float around aimlessly throughout the lake and clog your crankbaits up, then I'll use crankbaits. My favorite crankbaits are the number 9 flicker minnow or a number 5 flicker shad. Now I'm going to pick some pretty natural colors here. Crayfish colors, this purple and this orange, the pink bottom, purple top, kind of a flash side is a really good normal color I'm going to pick. Again, a crayfish color is going to be another one. Or one of my favorites, I'll try to find it quickly here, is going to be just this bone white one here. Just this see-through sides, totally white top, a little flash of red on the bottom. That's a really good base inland lake color. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to run those on monofilament line, just straight, 10-pound Berkeley XT, run them out, use your precision trolling app, and you're going to want to run a spread of baits that covers the top third with 2, the middle third with 2, and if you're running 6 lines, the bottom third with 2. Now, if you need to go deeper, you can always upsize to a number 7. Guys, summer walleye don't care if it's a 5 or a 7 or a 9 or an 11 flicker minnow. They're going to hit all of those sizes. They're all well within their strike zone. But what you have to concentrate on is edges, transition lines, things like that. Troll 2 miles an hour, just pick a good solid base speed that you're covering plenty of water but not going too fast. Now, if you're encountering tons of weeds, then I flip that program and I start to use either a combination of number 1 tadpoles and spinner harnesses or bottom bouncers and spinner harnesses. Now I can run those right off of my boards or off the butt of the boat, each corner, very easily. When I'm using boards, I usually try to use 1-ounce bouncers. When I'm off the back of the boat, I try to stay with 2-ounce bouncers so that I can maintain really good control of that. And again, you're spreading it. You're playing the bottom of the top third, the bottom of the second third of the water column. And when I say thirds, guys, I mean if you're in 20 feet of water, I'm going to call the top third 7 feet, the bottom 7, 8 to 14, and the bottom 15 to the bottom. And I'm going to put baits in each one of those columns, not assuming that the fish are anywhere, but looking at first. And once I find them, then you can bring other baits up to that. Super important to have a line counter reel so that you can mimic what's working. That's a really big, important thing. Another tip, if you're encountering a ton of weeds, you might want to go to like an 1/8 to 1/4 ounce bullet weight and switch your crawler harness to a leech rig. Reason is that there's only one hook on a leech rig, and walleyes love leeches. So do bass, so do big bluegills. There's no difference really in a bite ratio between a crawler and a leech. But what you have is only one hook, and that one hook tends to hang up less in the weeds than the 2-hook rigs, if that makes any sense to you. So you're able with the bullet weight to pull through heavier weeds clean and stay clean and fish longer. If you're having trouble reading your boards on the offshore, go ahead and downsize to the crappie boards. I found that can be very, very helpful, especially when you're pulling bullet weights, because there's not a lot of resistance. So that's my tips for getting started on inland lake walleye fishing. We're going to bring some episodes to you on Destination Outdoors, which is on every Saturday and Sunday morning throughout the state of Michigan. Watch for our teasers to find what network it's on in your area. Pay close attention, and we'll try to expose these bites to you. Check out the full line of Polar Kraft boats at polarcraft.com. So a second concept bite that we're going to talk about that we're getting a lot of positive reports on from guides as well as locals is small river smallmouth bass in the summertime. So many people concentrate all their efforts on rivers only when the salmon and steelhead are there, or if they're an avid trout fisherman. But the truth of the matter is, for example, I'll list a few rivers off to you. You go up to Manistee County, the Manistee River system is jammed with smallmouth bass. You drop down to Ludington, the Pure Marquette system, jammed with smallmouth bass. You drop a little further down to the greater Muskegon area, where Johnson's Great Outdoors resides, in that Muskegon, Whitehall, Montague area. You've got all kinds of river opportunities here with the Muskegon River and the Pine River and the White River. They're all filled with smallmouth bass. And a lot of people are starting to figure out that they're not all little fish. In fact, you get a lot of 3 and 4 pound fish out of these rivers. Drop even further south, the Grand River, believe it or not, chock full of big bass. And guys are learning that this is a very good, fun way to spend a day. 3 reasons. Number 1, it's not usually wind dependent. You'd have to have one heck of a wind to blow you off of a small river, And number 2, you're throwing hard baits typically, or jigs like Ned rigs, things like that. So you can cast in a pretty stiff wind. So this is an opportunity that opens the door to a blustery day excursion. So let's talk about how most of the guys are doing it. You're picking out your river. You're picking out obvious spots. In other words, the deeper runs. The same way almost you would look at the river for steelhead fishing, you're going to look at that same river that same way for smallie fishing. You're going to look at little deeper shoreline edges. You're going to look at laydowns behind laydowns, the down current side of laydowns. And you're going to be just simply imagining, if you were a fish, as silly as this sounds, where would you be? You wouldn't be laying up in a 6 or 8 inch deep flat on gravel. You'd probably pick a deeper 2 or 3 foot run or 4 foot deep run on the side of a bank edge. So the best ways to catch these fish. Well, one of the most fun ways is to throw small poppers, like a junior KVD splash, or something that's going to have a top water effect with a down tail drop to it. The thing I love about the KVD splash is when it's at rest, when you cast it and don't pop it and just let it sit there, the tail of that bait will sink down, and the treble with a feather on it will actually really draw fish in, and they'll slurp that bait. They won't even smash it. They'll just literally suck it under. That's a really effective bait. Small walking baits, twitching baits like a number 9 or 11 Rapala. That's a really good bait if you're going to just be snap twitching back to you with a slow retrieve. Those are really good baits. Stay natural, guys. Stay with the normal golds and silvers and things like that. You don't have to get all crazy having 28 different colors. Just head on over here to Johnson's or your local sports store. They've got this type of bait hanging on the wall. Plus, they have experienced river guys here at Johnson's that'll help you get started in this. Another way to fish that a lot of people don't really think about, which is a Ned rig, a real light Ned rig, like a 16th ounce Ned rig, because again, you're not throwing into super deep water. And then you have current, and the combination of that light Ned rig along with the body bait, you know, of a Ned itself, the actual plastic body of it, will almost let that bait, you'll be able to lift and fall and let the current tumble that bait down. And that works really, really well. You catch a lot of big smallies on Ned rigs tumbling down current, similar to what you'd be doing tumbling a spawn bag down current. So there's a lot of different ways. Spinners work good as well. When the bite is on, they'll hit the spinner as well. So lots of different opportunities. But the biggest thing I'm trying to turn guys onto is the fact that this is a bite not a lot of people do. And there is a ton of this river guides who are equipped with their float boats and everything else, who know all about this bite and can put you on, you know, to be honest, 20 to 30 fish days. I've talked to 2 or 3 guides, Eric Richards from here, the greater Muskegon, Newaygo area, who provided me with an awesome fishing report that's on our website right now under Muskegon, Ludington, or Manistee. If you touch that link under fishing reports, you're going to read Eric's full-length write-up on how he targets these smallmouth bass. Now, he tells me that 20 and 30 fish days is not unusual at all on the river, especially in the summertime. And there's just not a lot of boats. So again, it's about pressure. You want to pick these bites where there's the most fish, the least amount of pressure. So check out that write-up by Eric. Check out smallmouth bass fishing on small rivers here in Michigan. So, hey guys, like I mentioned, we're here at Johnson's Great Outdoors in Montague, and the shelves are stocked. To be honest, I've been to a lot of stores where, like you see behind me, a Berkeley display like this is 2/3 picked over and gone. The guys at Johnson's have obviously done their ordering this spring and got themselves a good load of baits in. It looks like most of the pegs have stock on them, and that's a good thing. That means you can come and get yourself restocked for any lures you've lost through the course of the year. Walking up and down the aisles, they got a great supply of soft plastics. They've got salmon lures. They've got lures for all seasons in here right now. Plus, they've got the back room with archery and all the other stuff they carry. So if you're looking for a great spot to come, browse around for an hour, restock your tackle box, and you're in this Southwest Michigan area, take a trip over to Montague and Johnson's Great Outdoors. Hey, thanks for joining us on this week's Hot Bites Fishing Report. We'll see you again next week.